Greetings, humans. You have entered the Command Zone, your destination for all aspects of Elder Dragon Highlander. Enjoy your stay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Command Zone podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Weeks, and today we have a special guest upgrader. It's Jordan Pridgen.
That's me. I'm Jordan. I write stuff on the channel.
A writer.
Yeah.
Also on Twitter, you know, Jordan.
All over the place. Not on Twitter if I can help it most of the time, but sometimes.
No, they just put it below, and my brain was like, say it. Say it out loud.
Sometimes I tweet.
Let the people know. We are talking about the Commander Masters Precons today, specifically the Sliver Precon. The Sliver Hive, what are they calling it? Swarm, excuse me.
Sliver Swarm.
The Sliver Swarm deck, it is a 5-color Sliver deck. It is like the most keywordy, the highest synergy of the creature types, certainly.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when I started playing, Slivers were the menace of Magic. And hopefully they will be again soon with this upgrade.
That's true. We are going to take this Precon and we are going to get it into fighting shape today. We're going to add 10 cards. We're going to take 10 cards out using a budget of $50. We're also going to talk about what comes in the box. What's the face commander? What's the backup commander? How to make this product work as well as you possibly can on a limited budget. But before we get into it, you can support the show and pick up this Precon and all of the cards we're going to talk about today over at cardkingdom.com/command. Card Kingdom has a great selection of sealed product and singles. Commander Masters is a really big reprint set. I know I'm going to have my eyes on singles prices, and I know you guys will as well. We hope that you're over there looking at cardkingdom.com/command because they always send their singles safe and tidy and in one package that will show up all bundled, ready to play. So once again, you can support the show and pick up a cool new deck at cardkingdom.com/command. And once those cards are in your hand, you're going to need to protect them. Go on over to ultrapro.com/command to pick up some of the highest quality Magic accessories in the business. They've got dice and sleeves, playmats, wall scrolls, everything that you need to be the most decked out Magic player that you can possibly be. And I know if you're a Sliver player, you are dedicated to the Hive. So you can pick up all of the Sliver accessories that you are looking for. I'm sure they're going to do Sliver Gravemother playmats and sleeves and the whole shebang over at ULTRAPRO. And you can always know what products are new and live on the ULTRAPRO website by following their newsletter. So go ahead and sign up for that. You'll get notifications on when new products drop and when their things go on sale. Sometimes you can get great deals on deck boxes and binders and all the stuff you need to keep your cards safe and organized, all on one place, ultrapro.com/command. The final way to support us is directly go on over to patreon.com/commandzone. That's a great place to make sure that your money goes directly to making this show better for you. You pay our writers, you pay our performers, you pay our editors, and you also get access to cool perks. You get to see game nights and extra turns a day early. You get to be the in-the-know dedicated fan the day before episodes come out. And when they release spoilers, you're not like, I want to see it, which is always what I am, especially when there's an episode that I'm in. I get excited to see it because I don't get to see them behind the scenes. Also, you get access to exclusive content like Turn Talk,
which is like one of my favorite parts of Extra Turns.
It's so much fun. After you finish a game, all you want to do is talk about what your deck could have done. And that was sweet when you did that. Now, what was that card?
Yeah.
And how does that normally work? Because those discussions are really where the passion comes through and you get to see people that are really excited about their decks and the game that they just played. So again, join our Patreon, support the show, and get some cool perks as well. One of those perks is we shout out one lucky patron every single podcast episode, and this one is dedicated to Michael Fine. Michael, you're so fine.
You're mighty fine.
Thanks, Michael. You rock. We are going to get into the main topic here. We're going to be talking about the Sliver Swarm Precon.
Yeah, Sliver Swarm.
This this is a 5-color sliver deck, as they often are.
You kind of have to be 5 colors to make slivers work.
Yeah.
You want to play as many as you can.
That's the thing. I've seen 3-color slivers decks, and they're very cool, and they end up being a little bit different than 5-color sliver decks. But 5-color is traditional, and they have 2 new slivers 5-color commanders that they've introduced, which
sort of slivers
adds
commander
to the list.
Yeah. It's exciting. This is a brand new day for slivers.
So let's talk about the face commander and the backup commander for this deck, so we can decide how exactly we are upgrading the Sliver Swarm Precon. Who's this face commander?
The face commander is Sliver Gravemother. This is Wooburg cost, so 1 of each color. And it is a legendary creature, Sliver, and it's a 6/6. And it says the legend rule doesn't apply to slivers you control. It's kind of neat.
Okay.
And it says each sliver creature card in your graveyard has Encore X, where X is its mana value. So, and then Sliver Gravemother has Encore 5. So Encore, just to remind you, since it's been a while since it's been all that relevant, is basically you exile the card from your graveyard, and then for each opponent, you create a token copy that attacks that opponent this turn if able. They gain haste. Sacrifice them at the beginning of the next in-step. Sacrifice or activate only as a sorcery.
Okay. So I love the design on Sliver Gravemother.
I think it's very, very cool.
We've seen a number of 5-color sliver commanders. There's like the Tutor one, and there's the first sliver, which is a Cascade one. There's Indestructible. There's another one. There's like a lady and a guy and another, and then there's the Swarm.
This is the one that to me feels like it is most like has a strategy to it besides just like, I just want to play slivers.
Slivers, right. This is a graveyard focused sliver deck, because you sort of want as many slivers as possible in your graveyard, and you don't have a problem with them dying.
No.
And it really changes the tone of the deck a little bit. It's a little bit more black.
And it can bring itself back, which is like kind of a cool thing.
Yeah. I really like introducing Encore to slivers also, because it makes 3 bodies, right? And slivers is all about having more slivers.
And it kind of lets slivers feel a little bit more like the old 60-card sliver decks a bit, where you would try and get, 3 slivers that pump everybody out at the same time.
Right.
And you can't really do that in Commander most of the time, unless you're playing like Sliver Clones or something. But with Sliver Gravemother, you get 3 of the thing, and that's sweet.
It is notably very good with slivers that scale when you have 3 of them. So it's really great with anthem effects, like slivers get +1/+1. If you have 3 of them, slivers get +3/+3. Bing. It is notably not great with the keyword ones. That's like slivers get menace.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if you have 1 or 3, slivers have menace. So there's some cool abilities that scale really well. There's some abilities that don't scale as well, and we are going to get into them as we talk. But I think this shows a combat-focused sliver deck that has a lot of resilience on the back end.
Yep, absolutely. Very cool.
The backup commander to this deck is a curious one, and not a particularly slivery commander, for she is a human wizard.
Not a sliver, yeah.
So her name is Rukarumel, Biologist. She too is Wooburg, a human wizard that is a 3/3. As Rukarumel, Biologist enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Slivers you control and non-token creatures you control are the chosen type in addition to their other creature types. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. She also has an activated ability that says 3 tap, create a 1/1 colorless sliver creature token. So in this deck, you would cast her, she would come in and you would name slivers. And now all of your non-tokens that are slivers.
Which
the thing about this deck,
spoiler, they're already slivers.
They're slivers already.
It just makes her
also a sliver.
So, it's neat. It's super cool. I think there's things you can do with it. It's like having a conspiracy or arcane adaptation in your command zone.
Right. It's a neat commander. It's a very cool build around. It does not make any sense as the lead singer of this deck.
No. Making sliver tokens is neat, but it just doesn't do much here.
This deck is particularly special because it does have a third commander possibility if you want to have one that is a reprint. It has Sliver Hivelord, which is Wooburg for a Sliver, and it says Sliver creatures you control have indestructible, and it itself is a 5/5 Sliver.
Simple, effective, gets the job done.
Yeah, this is the kind of Sliver commander we're used to, where it's just like Slivers have menace and lifelink and flying and indestructible, and they're impossible to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. It's Slivers already just stack up all these effects and snowball, and the commander is often one that just stacks up some effect that's gonna make them have a finisher.
It's going to be a big problem.
Yeah.
And this one's certainly a big problem. I could see putting Sliver Hivelord comfortably in the command zone and just being like, you know what? I don't want to mess with Encore. I'm just going to put Sliver Hivelord in the command zone, and it's going to be a much more straightforward build.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're new to Commander or you're giving this to somebody who's new to Commander. I could see just being like, just play this one. We'll teach you this one later.
Right.
Yeah.
It takes a little less finesse to play a card that's just everything gets indestructible, which is great.
It's really powerful. We are not going to focus on Sliver Hivelord, but we wanted to mention that it was a possibility.
Definitely.
In order to choose the correct commander for this precon, we are going to get into this box and break down the
stats.
Oh, man. So we are going to talk about the categories of cards that exist in the precon as it exists off the shelf. First, we're going to break down the kinds of cards that go into every single deck. The ramp, the card draw, the nuts and bolts of the deck. Then we'll talk about the more deck-specific stats in a moment. But first, let's talk about the regular stuff.
So this deck has 11 ramp in it.
Okay.
Which isn't too bad. I mean, I'd put that on the lower end of the threshold of how much I like to have in decks.
Slivers also have a low curve, so I could see it not trying to like power out a ton of mana, but 11's a little low.
But you still want to be playing a lot of Slivers, and especially if you're going to be playing around the Encore thing, you might want to be encoring multiple ones from the command zone.
That's true.
Next, it has 11 pieces of card draw.
Okay.
Also, about the same vibe.
Where it's like good enough.
Yeah. Not bad for a precon.
Yeah.
It has 5 pieces of targeted interaction.
That is quite low.
I think it's very low.
Yeah, I don't tend to run a ton of interactions in my deck, and I run like 8.
I do like to run. I tend to try and get to at least 10 pieces of interaction in my deck. I guess I could see, since you just want more space for Slivers, you're not going to be the one who's removing stuff. You're going to be the one who's being removed.
Player removal is the Sliver mindset for sure.
Yeah, but I still think that's a bit low.
I agree.
It has 3 board wipes in the deck.
Okay.
That seems fine to me.
It's about right. It's a little high for an aggro deck.
Board wipes are going to be the bane of a Sliver deck.
Yeah, you force everybody else to have the board wipes. Yeah.
37 lands.
Okay.
Here's the kicker, though.
Yeah.
It has 11 basic lands and 16 tapped lands.
Oh, man. 16 tapped lands. That's a very slow start.
Yeah.
Especially for a deck that wants to have a fast start.
That's a really tappy deck. You're just going to, like, if you are counting on hitting a land drop and casting something off of that, it's not going to happen a lot of the time.
Yeah, I mean, it just puts you a whole turn behind with Slivers, where, like, Slivers, you really want something on 2, you want something on 3, you want something on 4, and then you're a big threat, like, at that point by like turn 5 or 6 for sure. So those tapped lands, you are going to feel them.
Yeah. Which brings us to the things that this deck specifically needs that maybe not all decks need, but makes sense for this one.
The specific dish. In this one, there are 41 Slivers.
That's good.
Yeah, that's
great.
That's a lot. And in Sliver decks, I think you really do want that many.
Absolutely.
Like, I wouldn't go much past 40. You still do need like the vegetables in the deck.
Yeah.
But I definitely wouldn't go much less than, I don't know, 30, 35.
I mean, I tend to like want at least like 30 of something in a That Thing Matters deck, but especially with Slivers, it's just like you want to have as many as you can fit.
For sure. There are 11 Anthem effects in this deck.
Cool.
Makes sense. Slivers want to go wide and also tall. Woo. There are 6 pieces of board protection.
Love that.
Really good.
Yeah.
Slivers want to commit to the board.
Absolutely. Like, I mean, any, like, if you've seen slivers in play in like any format, they want to play a lot of them. And things like board wipes are the bane of a slivers deck existence, as I just kind of mentioned before. So protection, great.
Protect your key pieces, really important. The next one is a little broad, but it's 5 graveyard fillers.
Yeah.
So your commander cares about Encore, which only works from the graveyard. These are cards that either loot and put cards in the graveyard, or they mill, or they're like slivers that sacrifice themselves. Just ways to get stuff to the graveyard. Mm-hmm. And this is quite low. I think if I was building a bespoke version of this commander, it would be much higher, like 10 at least.
I think it makes sense in the Precon because you don't want to be so reliant on the graveyard if you potentially do want to switch up the commander or something like that.
So they're really picturing, you can tell from this, they're really picturing the commander as more of a like, okay, there's been a board wipe. I need to rebuild. Yeah. My graveyard is full because all of my stuff died.
Yeah. And I mean, to be fair, slivers draw hate. Yeah. Like if you have slivers out on the battlefield, people are going to be picking off your most important slivers.
They have to.
It doesn't take long to realize how much slivers are going to snowball.
Absolutely. There's one final category I wanted to mention because this is a 5-color Precon. There are 19 pieces of fixing in the deck.
Which, that's nice.
That's a lot. So I wanted to clarify what I mean by fixing. Fixing is like anything that gives you access to more than like 4 colors.
Sure.
So I included like the tapped fetch lands, which can fetch up multiple colors. I included like cultivates and mana rocks that tap for 5 colors or something like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Even I like command tower counted as fixing. So there's like 19 pieces that will help you cast these spells.
Yeah, and I mean, historically, 5-color mana bases and precons have been tough, and I don't think this is an exception to that history. So at least, the fixing that's in there, there's a decent number of options.
Yeah, and that means that you can put those basics to work as well. There are 11 basics in the deck. Okay, so those are the stats. That is what the deck is doing roughly mechanically. Based on that information and what the commanders themselves do, who do you think we should put in the command zone?
Sliver Gravemother.
It's gotta be, right?
Yeah. We both agreed Sliver Gravemother is just a more of an interesting Sliver commander than Sliver Hivelord. If you want to put Sliver Hivelord in, you can probably do it with no changes, and it will also be quite effective.
Work just fine. Yeah.
There's more to build around with Sliver Gravemother. I also think it actually has a really strong place in the Sliver game plan because you're almost definitely going to get board wiped.
Yeah.
And Sliver Gravemother is going to really help you build back from that.
Absolutely. I think this card reads like a commander, but could easily be in the 99 of any 5-color Sliver deck.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that Gravemother is just going to be, we were excited to see, this is a Sliver commander we've never seen before. So let's see what we can do with her. All right, we have talked about what is in the box mechanically. Let's talk about what's in the box financially. We're going to break down the reprint value of this product. What kind of cards are you getting for the amount of money that you're investing into it? It is worth noting that in this box there are 79 reprints, because there are 10 new cards and there are 11 basics. So almost 80 reprints in this deck. It's a lot. And they will only those cards will be included in the reprint cost.
Value, yeah, because we don't know what everything else is going to cost.
Of course, we are taking prices before everything is announced. All of these are not literal prices because these prices won't be the numbers that you see when you go online. But this is the time that we take this data every time, and we can compare it to precons in the past and tell you what kind of value you're getting more comparatively rather than literally. But that being said, the total reprint value in this precon is
$153.50.
Okay.
That sounds good, right?
Sounds good. If $153 was the reprint value of any old precon, we would be sounding the horns.
Just amazing.
There would be a parade. However, these precons are almost twice as expensive as precons tend to be.
Yeah, they're like $80 when precons in the past have been around $40.
So the value that we've come to expect in a precon, if you're going to double what it costs on the shelf, we would expect the reprint value to be double that.
Yeah, and it's not there.
It is not there. $153. So if you're spending $80 on this precon, you would roughly we would be happy with like $200 worth of value.
Yeah.
Is generally the line.
If we want to kind of be in keeping with what we've expected from these in the past.
Right.
And
Which
stuff
is
like that.
like the average reprint values of previous sets for comparison. Remember, these are $40 precons. Baldur's Gate was $104. Brothers War was $95. All Will Be One was at $101. And March of the Machine was averaging $97. Those are for $40 precons.
Now,
so
you did something kind of cool here,
yeah,
which I
did
like.
some math.
Some math Rachel put together, which is like for each of those, for the $1 that you spent cash, how much per $1 you spend, how much money are you getting?
Yeah, like how much card value are you getting out of it financially?
Yeah. So if it was like, if it cost $100 and you got $100 of value, you'd be getting $1
per $1 for your $1.
Yeah.
And so I calculated those with the $40 precons. And for Baldur's Gate, it was about $2.60 of value for your dollar.
Not bad.
Brothers War was about $2.38 for your $1.
Yeah.
All Will Be One was about $2.50, and March of the Machine was about $2.40.
So pretty consistent in a lot of ways.
Right around like $2.50 seems to be where we are most happy with it, because those are the ones that are around $100 and $104. So we are excited to see a number around $2.50 for every $1 you spend. The Sliver Swarm value is $153.50. If you divide that by the $80 that you're roughly spending, obviously $80 is approximate because MSRP is impossible to measure. If you divide the $153 by 80, that means your bang for your buck value is $1.92 for every $1 spent.
Yeah, less than $2. That's brutal.
That is less than all of these by a long way. And so even to just closer compare it, I was like, okay, I'll take that bang for your buck value, that $1.92, and I'll multiply it times 40. So like what this value would look like if we had spent $40 on it. And it's $76.75.
Yeah, that's
which is
terrible.
Abysmal value.
It's so bad.
It's so low. In like if it was $76 for any of these precons, we would have torn it apart.
And you got to remember that even though it's like, if we were paying 40 and got 76, it's like, oh, you're getting more value than you pay for. You're also getting lots of like $1, like $2 cards. So it's not like you could just turn those cards around and immediately get that value. This is really low.
It's very disappointing, especially because this is the precon that people are really excited about. Like the players that love slivers love slivers.
Yeah.
I mean, you were talking about your friend.
I have a friend who has not played Magic in a long time, but he still pulls out his collection all the time. And he wants to get back into Magic because he heard there's a Sliver deck coming out. And it's a little hard to justify telling him to get it.
Yeah.
Because it's $80. But people care very deeply about slivers. They're a tribe that some people really connect to, you know?
So this is a compelling product already. And the fact that like you can't be like, go run out and buy this and get these cool new slivers that we're going to talk about.
It's a bummer.
Is brutal. It just doesn't feel like, I was talking to people before all of these numbers came out, and they were like, man, I hope the precons have like full art lands or something in them to really justify the increase, or they have more foils or something. And they just didn't do any of that.
Something that would just make it worth it a bit more.
They added like one card that's a little bit more, and that's fine, but you doubled the price. So you get double the scrutiny.
So I guess let's go into the cards that they've added in that are actually valuable reprints.
Right. We're only going to talk about the cards that are worth $5 or more, the ones that the reprints are actually going to be felt. And we'll break them down. Yeah.
And there are 9 cards that are worth more than $5.
Pretty good.
The biggest one, the one that is like the most expensive right now, is Synapse Sliver.
Oh, yeah.
And this one is 4 and a blue, and it basically just makes it whenever a sliver deals combat damage to a player, its controller may draw a card, which is
great,
really key in a sliver deck. That feels
really important.
Awesome.
Reprint. And it's like, this is the perfect place for this kind of thing to be reprinted. So we're excited to see that. The Sliver Hivelord reprint is also great. We've mentioned it. That's sitting at $17 right now. Another important reprint is Gale Rider Sliver. This is at $12. It is a 1-mana sliver that gives all of your slivers flying.
Seems, just realistic.
Really powerful.
Deck. There's 3 visits, which is just kind of a standard green ramp card. For a long time, 3 visits was this
like
only Portal 3 Kingdoms.
Yeah.
I have an original one I'm very proud of.
Oh, I'm so jealous. That's really cool.
But now it's printed often, and it's still good.
That's sitting out at around $7.50, which I'm glad you're reprinting it. Please reprint it more.
3 visits is a great card.
Vanquisher's Banner caught another reprint. It's at $6.50. Brood Sliver, which makes token slivers, is at $6. Crystalline Sliver, which gives your slivers Shroud, is at $6. Realm Walker, it's the changeling, lets you cast cards of the same type off the top, is $5. And Windfall catches the mysterious reprint. And is at $5.
I mean, every blue deck could use a Windfall most of the time,
I'm not mad at a Windfall reprint. It was like sliver, wheel.
Windfall. All right, okay.
So there are 9 cards over $5, and that's a thing that that's more than we ever see in the $40 precons. It's great to see these cards reprinted. The glaring missing card on this list is Sliver Hive.
It just would have been so easy.
It doesn't. Where else are you going to reprint it?
This is where it goes.
This is a perfect place for it. And now Sliver Hive is going to be so expensive.
You can only put it in a set that has slivers as a major theme for something. I do not know why they didn't put Sliver Hive in this.
Maddening lack. It's also like a $10 card.
Yeah.
It really would have helped the value thing here.
It would have helped a lot.
All right. So that's what's in the box financially. Obviously, if you're excited about it, go ahead and pick up this box. If you want to calculate your own, am I getting enough bang for my buck? You can multiply that $1.92 by the price tag that you find and see if you're happy with that. Or you can divide it. Yeah, you take the value we've given you and divide it by how much you're paying for it, and then you can check out that bang for your buck number.
Yeah.
And or just get it because you're excited about slivers.
Well, and if you're excited about the deck, don't get us wrong.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun, and
Yeah.
slivers are great. We're just, sad that they didn't give a more affordable sliver option here.
Yeah, for sure. All right. So before we go to our mid-roll, I want to talk about the best cards in the deck. These are the cards that when you draw them off the top, you're like, we are moving now.
Things are going great.
This is we are psyched.
I think the best one, or maybe not the best, but one of the very best is the Synapse Sliver.
I mean,
it's expensive for a reason.
Huge reprint, really powerful.
Synapse Sliver is going to be one of those cards if you're like, cool, I got a Synapse Sliver out. This game is going to go my way.
Yeah, it's like a Sliver Kindred Discovery, basically. You have to connect, but it's you draw so many cards.
Yeah.
And with your commander, if you encore it, now if you have 3 Synapse Slivers, now anytime a sliver deals combat damage, you draw 3 cards.
It would be
careful.
Nuts.
Careful.
So cool.
That's too many cards. The next great card, next best card in the deck, where these aren't in any order, is Lava Belly Sliver. So this is a red and a white for a 2/2 Sliver. It says Sliver creatures you control have, when this creature enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker, and you gain 1 life.
Also really good with the Encore.
Yeah.
Because suddenly every Sliver you play...
Yeah.
It's
3 damage and you gain 3 life. What is they become lightning helix.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy. If you encore Lava Belly Sliver, they all enter, they all see each other, you deal 9 damage to somebody and gain 9 life. You encore another Sliver, now you're at 18, you gain 18 life, and you spent 6 mana or something like that at this point. Really, really good in this deck, especially if you can get it encored.
And finally, the third card we had is one of the best cards in the deck, is Realm Walker, which is really just a solid card for any typal deck, and it's nice that they put it in here. It lets you choose a creature type, which is going to be slivers when you enter the battlefield. You can look at the top of your library at any time, and you can cast creature spells of the chosen type from the top of your library. So there's a lot of slivers in this deck. You're going to be getting a lot of hits off of Realm Walker.
Absolutely. Yep. This card is really, really solid, and it prevents you from overcommitting from your hand. Yep. So if you can play stuff off the top, it's like you're drawing a card and then maybe drawing the next card and maybe drawing the next card
effect.
And not spending any of the cards that are actually in your hand. Cool. So those come in the box. We're going to talk about the 10 cards you can add to buff this deck up. Make sure it is the most powerful Sliver deck at your next game night in just a few moments, because we're going to get a couple of words from our sponsors. Jordan wrote them.
Mint Mobile presents the Surak and Goreclaw story. A bear and a hunter, once bitter rivals, now face a common enemy. But how did they come to unite?
Hey Goreclaw, it's Surak. Sorry about all the punching, but I think we need to team up against the out of minutes. Why aren't you using Mint Mobile? They're the premium wireless service that tramples the competition, with plans starting at just $15 a month. And you get unlimited talk, text, and high-speed data on the nation's largest 5G network. Of course! You can keep your number, phone, contacts, the lot of it. Now make haste and sign up today so we can start working together! Wait, why do you own a cell phone?
To get your new wireless plan for $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/command. That's mintmobile.com/command. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/command.
Josh, do you know where we put the what is going on here?
How's it?
Why is everyone dressed like you?
I know, isn't it great? I got tired of going to a dozen different websites looking for new employees, but now with my Quai guys, I can be everywhere all at once.
Why don't you just use Indeed, the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place? They have powerful tools that streamline the hiring process and save you a ton of time. Like Indeed's hiring platform, where all the hard work is done for you. They match you with quality candidates the moment you sponsor a post, and only ones whose resumes meet your job description. In fact, Indeed delivers 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined.
That is impressive, but could we hire more Joshes?
I think we have enough.
Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/CommandZone. Offer good for a limited time.
Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/CommandZone. Just go to Indeed.com/CommandZone and support the show by saying you heard about it on this podcast.
Again, that's Indeed.com/CommandZone. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. How's it, everybody? We're excited to announce the return of Game Night's tokens.
Dun dun dun!
Each order includes 40 total tokens all in one pack. There are 4 of each token and there are 10 tokens.
These will be available in other premium versions. We have a premium foil and a gold foil version. And of course, the ultra premium gold foil tokens come in a special high quality drawer box. It's a really cool way to show off your Game Night's bling.
Yeah, I even use this box for other things. It's very sturdy and it looks sharp.
Plus, if you want to show that you're the biggest Game Night fan out there, our top tier pledge level has something really special. It's a custom-made double-sided playmat that features all of the art from the tokens with a really cool comic book inspired layout.
Yeah, very few of these end up getting made.
As with all of our Kickstarters, this is for a limited time, so this is your best chance to get your hands on these tokens and playmats.
Just go right now, lock in your order. Don't mess around. Just guarantee that you're going to get them.
Absolutely. All right, thanks everyone, and get your pledge in now.
And then I'm going to flash out Illusory Ambusher. I will bolt it to draw 3 cards. I will sneak attack out Triskaidekaphile. I'm going to go to my upkeep, and I will win the game.
That was your first time playing the deck?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first time in paper. I've already goldfished it like 100 times on ARCHIDEKT. Their playtester is super user-friendly. Playing cards just takes 1 click, and you can mulligan, tutor, and move through your turns with the press of a key. There are simple menus with counters and copies, and you can take notes on cards as you play them.
ARCHIDEKT is the best place to browse, brew, and playtest commander decks. Just go to archidekt.com/CommandZone to get started.
That's ARCHIDEKT.com/CommandZone.
Welcome back, everybody. We are upgrading the Sliver Swarm Precon. We're going to add 10 cards, take 10 cards out using a budget of $50. But before we get to those cards, we're going to talk about our intentions with this upgrade. What are the holes we're trying to patch? What are we trying to smooth over? It's worth noting we don't tend to touch the mana bases on these.
Yeah.
And the mana base is sort of the biggest problem in this deck.
If you want to really upgrade the deck, you should try and go improve the mana base a bit, which can not always feel fun, but will feel fun when you're casting your cards on curve and that sort of thing.
So if you want to rework the mana base a little bit and get some of the untapped lands that you have in your collection into here, that makes total sense. Trying to get some of those tap lands out of there definitely makes sense, but we tend to give you spells to upgrade the actual meat of the deck. But if you're like, I feel like I should upgrade the mana base, you should upgrade the mana base. It's rough.
But what we are trying to do is one, kind of lower the curve of the deck.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sort of clunky big slivers that are neat and showy, but you can get a similar effect with cheaper slivers. And
especially with Encore, there's this opportunity for a really explosive turn where you Encore like 5 or 6 slivers all in one turn, and they all have haste, and they all have these keyword abilities, and they're all pumping each other. And so lowering that curve just means that you can cast more slivers at the same time.
Absolutely. And then we're trying to put in a couple more slivers that really play well in duplicate, like so that when they're encored, you can triple that ability and do something really impressive and fun.
Yeah, we bulked up the interaction a little bit and wanted to make sure that you have lots of cards in your hand in case you need to rebuild.
Yep.
But that is the general idea. Let's get to it.
Yeah.
This first category is called Scary Slivers.
Spooky.
They're all scary slivers. That's the secret.
Yeah.
I'm always scary. This first one is sweet.
Oh.
And is a Craig Blanchett staple.
Oh, yeah. Craig, this is a total Craig card. Virulent Sliver, which is 1 green for a 1/1 creature sliver. All sliver creatures have poisonous 1.
So, poisonous.
Poisonous is like infect-ish.
Yeah, let's read it. So it says, whenever a sliver deals combat damage to a player, that player gets a poison counter. A player with 10 or more poison counters loses the game. So an interesting thing is if you encore virulent sliver, now you have 3 virulent slivers, which says all of your slivers have poisonous 1, poisonous 1, poisonous 1.
And that is basically like having poisonous 3.
Yikes! And if they have double strike, oh no!
If you connect with 4 slivers, 4 of any slivers after encoring the virulent sliver, which by the way costs 1 with your commander out, someone dies.
Yeah, it's outrageous in this deck, and it is only 25 cents.
It's worth noting, too, that the way poisonous works as opposed to infect, they still deal their damage. So you're not turning off the damage of all your slivers by doing this like you would with infect.
Really, really strong in this deck, and will be an out-of-nowhere win.
Up next, not all that flashy, but just a solid sliver staple is Muscle Sliver. This is 1 and a green for a 1/1 sliver, and it says all slivers get +1/+1. You're going to want that.
Classic. It's only $1, and when you have 3 of them, everything gets +3/+3. Plus, it's only 2 mana to encore. Huge. Along with that is its brother, Predatory Sliver. 1 and a green, slivers you control get +1/+1. It's exactly the same card.
They're exactly the same. They have different name.
That's it. 1 buff slivers you control, 1 buffs slivers in general.
That's a great point. If
that
you do
is
the
the
sliver
difference.
mirror match, maybe hold on to that muscle sliver.
That is the difference. There is a difference. But functionally, there is not much of a difference.
Yeah. But just imagine having both of these in your graveyard, paying 4 mana to give your entire board +6/+6.
And you have 6 bodies.
Amazing.
Really, just with those 2 cards.
Sounds like fun magic to me.
Yeah, they stack really, really well with Encore, and they're really good early. If you can get them down, you start applying pressure, and that's what slivers do, is they push you until you have a board wipe.
Yeah.
You're just like, you have to deal with me now.
Yeah.
And then they deal with you, and now you cast your commander, and you Encore, and they're dead. Slivers.
I think it's going to be very fun.
It's sweet. It's sweet.
So this next one is one that I'm a little surprised they didn't put in the deck. But
I wish they did. It's going to be so expensive.
This is the first sliver, which is Wooburg. So 1 of each color for a 7/7 legendary creature sliver, which, by the way, the commander
rule,
makes legend rule not apply. So you can still use the Encore on this. But it basically just has Cascade. So you cast it, and you'll get something for less than 5. But then it says sliver spells you cast have cascade.
Ooh.
That's really good.
So this is like the ultimate sliver commit to the board thing. Every time you cast a sliver, more slivers come out of your deck, and more and more and more slivers, which makes sense. It's the first sliver. It gives birth to the rest.
Honestly, this might be overkill. But if you encore it and you cast a sliver spell, it cascades 3 times.
Yeah. Cascade stacks. So now all of your slivers say cascade, cascade, cascade.
Yeah, you're making your own. What's that giant?
Devastator.
Apex Devastator. Yep.
Yeah, it's So the first sliver is at the time of recording at $22. So it is taking up a big chunk of the budget because it does such wild and fun things with the commander. But if you don't want to spend that money, totally understand. But Cascade is worth
also,
$22.
Once you have the deck built, if you feel like mixing it up, it also makes a great commander itself.
It does. First sliver is super fun.
I still like the commander who's in the deck more.
Yeah. I really like the Gravemother, like way more than
really fun.
Any of the other ones. This next card is a staple in any typal deck. And careful, don't deck yourself. It's Kindred Discovery. 3 blue for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Sliver. Whenever a creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield or attacks, draw a card.
This card's insane.
Yeah, it's so broken.
Yep.
Something that I like about this that I wasn't even thinking about when we added it was Kindred Discovery draws you so many cards.
Oh, yeah.
And
when you encore, that's 3 ETBs.
It's 3 ETBs and it's 3 attacks.
Yeah.
So you draw 6 cards for 1 encored sliver. Outrageous.
Yep.
But also you draw a ton of cards and then you go to discard, which puts slivers in your graveyard. So it's a little bit of self-mill that can load you up for that big
that's
turn.
Kind of spicy.
Right? It's kind of cool.
All
Look how
right.
smart we are.
That was totally the plan. The plan from point 1.
Yeah, Kindred Discovery is at $12 right now, but I believe it caught a reprint in the main set, so maybe it comes down a little bit.
Yeah. And it's worth having, too.
Really strong.
You want it for a lot of typal decks. Up next, we have a Homing Sliver, which is 2 and a red for a 2/2 creature sliver. Each sliver card in each player's hand has sliver cycling 3.
Explain sliver cycling for those of us who haven't cycled with a sliver.
So sliver cycling, there's a couple other types cyclings out there. Wizard cycling,
land
things
cycling.
like that. But it basically means you pay 3, you discard the card, and then you search your library for a sliver card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. This is great in a lot of ways for this deck. Because 1, you put those slivers into your graveyard. You discard them, and you can bring them back.
You want to put them there.
And it refills your hand with the best slivers in your deck. This card is huge.
And it's also 25 cents.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's an absolute auto-include in this deck.
Yeah, for sure.
Which is why we included it automatically.
This next one is my favorite sliver ad on our list. It is Basil Sliver. It is 2 and a black for a sliver, and it says, all slivers have sacrifice this creature, add black to your mana pool. It is a 2/2.
I was a little iffy on this one when you suggested it.
Yeah.
But the more I think about it and look at it, it's going to be kind of nuts.
So sack outlets on your slivers are very, very good. There's a couple in the deck already, but most of them require mana to activate.
Yeah.
This one makes mana when you activate it. It makes black mana, which you're like, how many black slivers can there be? What am I supposed to do with black mana? You can pay for encore costs.
Yeah. I mean...
So you can, if you have an onboard muscle sliver... And you sacrifice that muscle sliver to put it into the graveyard. You add 2 black to your mana pool. You use that 2 black to encore the muscle sliver. Now you have 3 muscle slivers. They all sacrifice for black. You're going to sack them at the end of turn probably. But you can use, then you sack. So if you encore Basil Sliver for 3, now you have 3 Basil Slivers. They make 6 black mana. You're up mana.
It's insane. I think that there's some crazy stuff.
There have to be loops or something.
We didn't put one in the deck, but if you want to play one of my favorite cards that also everyone will hate you for, throw a Torment of Hailfire in there.
Stack all your slivers.
Get the loop going and be like, bam!
That was a good sliver sound. That's how I picture slivers in my head.
Yeah, kind of
one of those.
official sliver sound.
This card is, I mean, it's so cheap, right? It's got to be wildly cheap. Where is it? Could I throw it? Oh, it's 75 cents.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be one of the better slivers in your deck, especially for that big explosive turn that we are talking about with your commander in
and
play.
Another example of a sliver that is just fun specifically in this commander, which is a big plus for
this isn't like a great sliver for other sliver decks. It's awesome here, which is very exciting.
Up next, we have Patriarch's Bidding, which is 3 black for a sorcery, and it says each player chooses a creature type. Each player returns all creature cards of a type chosen this way from their graveyard to the battlefield. What creature type would you pick,
Sliver.
Rachel?
Slivers, Your Honor.
Oh, wow. I feel like I should have seen that coming.
Yeah, no one is going to benefit from this more than you are. It's just, especially if you go with a more graveyard-focused version of this deck, if you want to include a couple of slots that mill yourself. There's slivers that loot. Now we have cycling slivers and sacrifice slivers. Get them all back.
And slivers are such a powerful tribe.
Yeah.
That even if you're playing against a different typal deck, it probably works out better for you.
Yeah, you're like Merfolk.
Okay. What do you have, Island Walk now?
These are 13/13s with Lifelink and Menace. Right? Like, it's
cool.
Patriarch's Bidding, it has a downside, and you're not even going to see it in this deck. Plus, it's only $2.25. They have to board wipe you. Have a plan. This next card is sweet.
Yeah, and goes in a lot of decks. You can do a lot of fun stuff with this card.
Sundial of the Infinite.
Infinite.
Sliver. 2-mana artifact. It has an activated ability that says 1 tap and the turn. Activate this ability only during your turn.
Wait, why would you want to end your turn?
With the Encore sacrifice abilities on the stack.
You can end the turn and keep them. You can keep them.
Oh my God.
Completely insane.
Too many slivers. Yeah, this card is really, really strong in the deck. And it's great in any deck with Encore. So definitely makes the list. It's at $7 and worth every penny. Finally, we added 1 piece of spot removal just to up that number a little bit. You don't need a ton of interaction in this deck, but you do need to be able to answer the things that are a problem for you, like a Ghostly Prison. Or I guess this doesn't answer a Ghostly Prison.
Nice.
Anyway, it's D-Spark, white and a black for an instant. Exile target permanent with mana value 4 or greater. This just handles so much. Mm-hmm. If you aren't going to run a ton of interaction in a deck, you definitely want the interaction that you do have to hit any of the problems you're looking for.
Yep.
You need it to be flexible and efficient, and you're in 5 colors, so it might as well be the best. D-Spark is also 25 cents.
Love it.
This totals to $46.50.
And you can use the last $3.50
to
get some coffee or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Get yourself some sleeves. Half of a box of sleeves.
From ULTRAPRO.
Yeah. All right, we've added 10 cards, which means we have to do the hardest thing in Commander. We have to take 10 cards out of the deck. Starting with this first one, which is a fairly easy cut for me.
This is Crippling Fear, which is 2 black sorcery, which is choose a creature type. Creatures that aren't of the chosen type get -3/-3 until end of turn, which is, a neat effect.
It's all right.
You'd probably choose Goat.
Yeah, I think so. You just wipe your board.
Yeah, you choose Sliver, and you would wipe a decent amount of your opponent's board.
A lot of blockers. It's probably fine in the deck. I don't think it's as good or flexible as the other 2 board wipes in the deck.
Yeah.
One of which it destroys all creatures or hits all artifacts and enchantments.
You just don't really need that many board wipes in this deck.
You just don't. And the other one is like destroy everything but slivers, which is really, really strong. So I think that's the one that can go. The next one is Icon of Ancestry. It's a 3-mana artifact. When it enters, you choose creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1, and then you can 3 and tap and try and draw a sliver. Everything about this is too expensive.
Yeah.
We're not spending 3 mana to get +1/+1. We're not spending 3 mana to maybe draw a card.
The Anthem effect is something slivers can already do and are doing more efficiently, and this doesn't work particularly well with the commander in any way.
Yes.
Up next is For the Ancestors, which is a new card, but it is 2 and a green, and as an instant, and it says, choose a creature type. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal any number of cards of the chosen type from among them and put the revealed cards into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And then it has flashback for 3 and a green. This card is okay.
It's fine.
It's like top hit is you could hit 6 slivers and get them all, and that would be sick.
So we looked up the numbers on this.
Yeah.
And we're like, for the 40 slivers in the deck, you are roughly like 75% to
of getting
get
2 or more.
Or more.
Yeah. So
which is good.
That means 25% of the time, about 25% of the time,
Yeah.
you're getting 1 or 0.
Right.
Which is pretty unlikely.
Yeah.
But you know, it's
but
just
it's
not
also,
that impactful.
It's also like 3 mana draw 2 is fine.
Yeah.
And in order to draw 3 or more, it dropped to around 50-50.
Yeah, it was a little less than 50% of hitting 3 or more.
Yeah. And that's not a great rate. And like, especially with the draw spells that we're adding with the first sliver and the Kindred Discovery, and like those are just much stronger, more impactful draw spells than this card is.
I'd much rather have, for instance, the Sliver Cycler,
which
for sure, you know, is getting you the slivers you want.
People are like, oh, it's an instant, so it's great. And you're like, slivers at instant speed doesn't really matter all that much unless you have the sliver that lets you cast at flash speed. So there's just not quite enough upsides here.
It's all right. We're not saying it's an unplayable card.
It's all right. Up
next, we have Rukarumel, Biologist, which can also be pronounced Rukarumel, depending on where you're from. And we've already talked about this card a little bit, and I think Rukarumel is very cool.
Yeah.
Very neat card. Does nothing.
Everything's in here is a sliver. So this is a 5 mana creature that you have to pay 3 mana to make 1 sliver, and you're like, why can't you just be... Like you don't. Anyway,
doesn't do anything. Pull it out of the deck.
Yeah, it's not great in this deck.
Make a Rukarumel deck. If you
This next one is Clot Sliver, 1 and a black for a sliver that says each sliver gains 2 regenerate this creature. 2 regenerate this creature. That is extremely expensive board protection that will save you maybe 1 sliver at a time.
Regeneration is just not all that good these days.
No, it's not a particularly strong board protection spell, and we have lots in the deck.
There's a lot of exile out there. Yeah, I don't like it. Up next, we have Winged Sliver, which is 1 and a blue. All slivers gain flying for a 1/1. This card is good.
Yeah.
It's redundant. There's a couple cards in the deck that already do this.
Yeah, there's already 2 other slivers that give flying, and there's 1 that gives like basically sliver shadow. Those like slivers can't be blocked by non-slivers.
Yeah.
So having these redundant effects just makes them worse.
Yeah.
It also doesn't stack with your commander.
No.
So it just isn't the best thing we can be doing with our mana, especially if you can find a different sliver that gives it flying.
A fine card, though, if you're deeply attached to it, you know, you do you. Next, we are cutting 2-headed Sliver, which is 1 and a red for a 1/1. It says all sliver creatures have menace. Similar reasons.
Yeah, we've got a lot of evasion going on in the deck. Doesn't stack.
Yeah.
Next one's Blade Sliver. 2 and a red for all slivers get +1/+0. That is too expensive for too little a buff. We just added 2 2-mana ones that give +1/+1.
Worse than the other ones and more expensive.
These last 2 have sort of similar reasoning.
Yeah, I think, and I mean, we added in the Muscle Sliver and the other one, not called Muscle Sliver, but it's
Predatory.
Exactly Predatory, right. And they do similar things. Might Sliver and Megantic Sliver. Might Sliver is 4 and a green, and it gives all slivers +2/+2. And Megantic Sliver is 5 and a green, and gives sliver creatures you control +3/+3.
So they're huge anthems, which obviously is very powerful and does scale with your commander, but we figured it was more impactful to encore more slivers rather than like 3 slivers that are getting +3/+3.
Yeah.
Like encoring, you pay 6 mana for this on its own, and you get like 3. I guess they're big, but they don't have trample or
you
anything.
get like +9/+9, but that's just keyword big.
Yeah,
basically.
so wider is better in a sliver deck, especially when you're leaning on anthems as hard as this deck is.
I would much prefer to reanimate 3 2-mana slivers that give some big effect like that than to spend all that mana on just reanimating Megantic Sliver.
Yep. But slivers are sort of flavor to taste. If there's slivers that you like, if there's like a certain way that you're playing it, go nuts.
Play your sliver.
Pick the ones you love. Yours.
They'll all be the same when they're on the board.
Yeah, that's the thing. I didn't even think about that. That's how the hive works. It's like it's all very one. Get out of here, bro.
Yeah, they're very adaptable. These papers are being a real problem.
All right. Those are the 10 cards we are taking out to make way for the 10 cards that we are adding to the deck. Before we go, we want to do a quick talk about how the deck plays. Now that you've made the upgrades, what is a day in the life of the Sliver Gravemother?
So this deck is going to be a little clunky out of the gate with the mana base. Like you're going to be playing a lot of tap lands, and it'll take a little time to get things going. But you are going to come out swinging very fast with slivers. If you get a couple down, slivers snowball hard. Like you will get a bunch. And I think with this version of the deck, you can go ahead and overcommit to the board. You can play every sliver you have and just be like, pow, 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 become a threat, take somebody out, go swinging and killing people.
Yeah, slivers are a race car. You have to force people to use their board wipe. And like, you have to force people to answer you because that's like, this is the most aggro deck.
Yes.
And now you have a commander that says, oh, you aggroed too hard? Don't worry, I got you.
Yeah. And I think one thing we were talking about is I don't think this is a commander that you cast as soon as you've got the 5 mana.
No, this doesn't really do anything for your slivers on board.
I think you want to build out your sliver army and just attack. And then once you've been beaten down a bit, they've killed your important slivers, maybe they've wiped the board once or twice, you can play out Sliver Gravemother and rebuild.
Oh, yeah. And like we mentioned before, there is one big turn with Sliver Gravemother. So if you have the mana to Sliver Gravemother and then get a couple of impactful slivers encored after that, do it. But it may be just like, I guess I gotta rebuild. Cast your commander, cast like a value piece, and pass and be like, you guys got me. And then sliver.
I could definitely see a turn though where you like have Basal Sliver out on the battlefield.
Yeah.
And you play your commander, sacrifice like all your slivers, encore all your slivers, roll in with everything, and just tear people up.
That's such a sweet turn. Oh, I wanted to mention one more thing. When she dies the first time, send her to the graveyard.
Yeah. You almost never do that, but
yeah,
I think it's worth it.
And don't there's nothing to be afraid of, really, because if she goes to the graveyard, she has an ability that sends her back to the command zone.
Yeah.
If you get Bajuka bogged, you can still send her to the command zone. Like it's any time your commander changes locations, you can send her back to the command zone.
This doesn't really do anything crazy for you, but if you encore Sliver Gravemother, and then use the Sundial of the Infinite to keep those 3 versions, you could then cast Sliver Gravemother from the command zone again.
And have a 4th.
And have 4 commanders.
And that makes you eternally powerful. Look how many I have. Yeah, this deck is awesome. I think it's a really cool iteration of slivers. I think it's going to be a very powerful version. It's certainly more combat-based and a little less swarmy than like the first sliver. Definitely not as combo-y as Overlord.
I love that the design of the commander understands the like limitations and play pattern of slivers so well, and I think it's really exciting and cool.
Really cool deck. To the listeners, what do you think of the Sliver Swarm Precon? Any cards we missed? Any cards we suggested to take out that you disagree with? You're like, Winged Sliver?
How dare you?
I'm coming for you. Let us know. Neither of us have a sliver deck, so if you're a sliver pro, get in there and be like, actually, I would cut this one for these reasons. Those are helpful comments that help people that are building and upgrading this deck. If we talked about any cards that you were excited about, if you're like, I need a Basal Sliver, right Basal. Sliver right now. Go to Card
Might be basil too.
Basil? We're not 100% sure.
There's basil sliver, which makes all slivers taste a little bit better.
A little, or like soap for 1/4 of the people. That's not soap. That's cilantro. Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, this is cardkingdom.com. You can pick up your basil sliver over at cardkingdom.com/command. They have a great selection of all of the singles and sealed product that you are looking for in your life. It is Commander Masters season, which means there are going to be a ton of singles that are priced relatively low and that are going to be as accessible as they're ever going to be. They printed the free counterspell and removal, Fierce Guardianship, that cycle. They printed the medallions.
Yeah.
Finally will hopefully be at a price point where they are going to be accessible.
I'm just going to go pick up a couple of all the medallions.
I love building monocolored, so the medallions are just such a
Yeah,
I love them so much.
I'm working on mono red right now, and I'm just I could really use a medallion.
And they're catching a reprint here, so make sure you're paying attention to those prices. Check them over at cardkingdom.com/command. And once all those sweet sliver singles are in your hands, go over to ultrapro.com/command. Now I'm picturing a sliver dating app, and it's ridiculous. Sweet slivers. You're a sweet swinging single.
Slover.
Gross. Hated it. Ultra Pro is the best way to protect your slivers deck. Slivers can be very expensive and really need to be protected well and themed well. Slivers love a coordinating outfit. So go over to Ultra Pro and get the officially licensed Magic art. Get your Sliver Gravemother playmat and sleeves. See if they have a binder. They do different merch for every different set. So go over there and see what they have available, and make sure you're signed up for that newsletter so you can get those sweet sliver deals. Again, at ultrapro.com/command. All right, we have talked about a lot about Magic today. Let's spend a couple of minutes to talk about what you're doing outside the world of Magic.
What are
you into?
I have been super into this cute little game called Dave the Diver.
Okay, I love it already. Diving like a water diver?
Down into the water, and it is just this cute little indie game. It's pixelated.
Is it like scuba diver or trick diver?
Scuba diver.
Okay, cute.
Yeah, and you are this guy named Dave who basically gets employed by a sushi restaurant.
I've seen the video about this.
It's so cute, and it's so much fun. You just dive down and you're collecting fish. You have a harpoon and a net gun and stuff like that. And you are just collecting fish for this sushi restaurant during the day. And at night, you have to be a server at the sushi restaurant.
Long day. Poor Dave.
It's so fun, though. It's got two major parts of the game. There's the diving one, which is exploring. And the thing is that you're diving. The cave you dive in changes every day.
Ugh, what a nightmare.
So, there's always new things to explore, but there's tons of different fish, and you upgrade your equipment so that you can go under longer, and eventually you start finding sea people.
Whoa.
And
what?
People
you don't bring
missions.
it back to the sushi restaurant, right?
No.
Okay,
not
good.
yet. Maybe. I haven't gotten to the end. I mean, but it's great. And so you mix between trying to find things underwater during the day and keeping the customers happy. And sometimes there will be customers who come in and they're like, I'll never be satisfied by your sushi unless perhaps you were to bring me a moray eel. Maybe that could satisfy me.
I suppose.
And then you have to go find a moray eel.
Yeah, to win over this one jerk.
And it's just loaded with these hilarious animations.
I saw the cutscenes are
crazy.
So funny and so intense. The sushi chef looks like a mob boss.
He's He's
all
very serious.
Very cutscene anime, high contrast.
The guy who makes your weapons, your special underwater guns.
Is that the hacker guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, with all the wires on his fingers?
He's the guy who had no life in the South Park World of Warcraft episode. But whenever he makes you a new weapon, he has these gauntlets with wires connected to it, and you see him do this as he assembles the weapon. And it's this hyper dramatic thing as he's this like, anime nerd doing all of it.
I was watching somebody play it and he was like just wandering around looking for like discs or something.
Yeah.
And then he turns down the wrong and he's like, shark, and he just turns right back around.
And then you got to run or fight the shark.
Don't fight this shark. He's
Sometimes
a good
you
boy.
can.
Yeah, eventually you have to load up your weapons enough so you can take down a shark comfortably.
Yep.
Sounds sweet.
Very fun.
It's a very pretty game. I enjoyed very much the YouTube video I watched.
Despite sometimes running into sharks, I find it very like peaceful and calming.
Yeah. See, I feel like I'd be lost in an underwater cave and just be like, I'm dying down here. I'm drowning, and I feel physically like I'm drowning.
Well, the way out is always up.
Yeah, but what if there's no up and you have to go down to get up?
There's little places you find where they can send escape pods.
I have terrible sense of direction, so I'm always afraid of getting lost in a place that I can't. Anyway.
It's fun. Trust me.
I'm also bad at video games for that reason. I got lost all the time in Stray. It's a very easy game to
you're
navigate.
a cat, right?
Yeah. It's really easy to navigate. And my partner was trying to help me, and he was like, yeah, just go back to the guy that gave you that thing. It was like, no idea where he is.
Well, there
couldn't
is
tell,
a cat
not at 100 miles.
Gave the dive.
Does he dive?
Does the cat?
Yeah.
No.
Does he go down with you and have a little helmet?
No, he stays in the sushi restaurant.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yep.
I mean, it's a good place for a cat. Alrighty, before we go, we're going to say a big thank you to our amazing team here at the Command Zone. Thank you to Damon Lentz, Eric Lemp, Megan Yip, Garab Galati, Jamie Block, Arthur Meadowcroft, Manson Lung, Josh Murphy, Jake Boss, Sam Waldo, Evan Limburger, Lady Danger, Craig Blanchett, Katie Cole, Mitch Trafford, Gabriel Pozos, Josh Lee Quiet, Jimmy Wong, and to Jordan Pridgen for joining me in this episode.
That's me. Thanks for having me.
And thanks for writing such fun ads.
Oh, I try,
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will see you next time.
Thank you for your attention. For further inquiries, send an email to commandcast@rocketjump.com or ask us on Twitter @JFWong and @JoshLeeQuai. See you later, alligator.
Greetings, humans.